Hello, everybody, and welcome to the second edition of the Lion's Den podcast. And tonight we have reversed roles a little bit, so it'll be a different MC and myself, and we'll get an opportunity to go through our usual host in Gavin Currie, and for Gavin to talk us through the defining goals of his life. Now, for those of you who may not know Gavin's background, he's been at the club now. I think he joined us in 2011. And is a die-hard Rangers fan. So there will be some outstanding opportunity for us to all learn a bit more about Rangers as a club and the moments that defined Gav and how he fell in love with the club and in love with the game. And Gavin also played in our third div and holds a unique record in our club, has been one of the few players to have scored in every division for our club. So from Premier Men's all the way through to Resi's, Div 3, Div 4, 35s, and is often regarded as one of our finest strikers. So without any further ado, welcome Mr. Gavin Currie.
How's it going, mate?
Brilliant, mate, brilliant. So like I said, I'm really looking forward to go through this because straight away, when you send through your list and going through some of the players and the music, again, it's amazing how important a role the music plays through the segment. But it's, getting an opportunity to relive some of these players that were mammoth players when we were growing up, and like I said, we're similar age, so it's all players that resonates, and really looking forward to get to the Sickner part of it, because I got a feeling we may see that as some other people's greatest goal.
Yeah, I completely agree with that.
But anyway, so let's get straight into it, Gavin. You're a Rangers fan. Tell us how you fell in love with the club.
I think it's the same as most guys, mate. Like, my grandfather, my dad, both massive Rangers fans. It gets passed down the chain, I suppose. Local to the club, I lived 5 miles away from Ibrox, maybe even a bit less. All my mates are Rangers fans. Everybody I grew up with, all family, all Rangers fans. It's just been in my blood since I was a kid.
Yeah, so there was no going over to the other side at all.
Absolutely not.
There was none of that. So when I am talking about my father disowning me for rugby, you would have literally been disowned.
Oh, mate, I would have been kicked out the door for sure. And I was always told, even when I start hitting my teens and stuff, my dad always says, "Do not bring one of them to the door." You can bring as many Ranger supporting females to the house. Do not bring one of them to the door.
Okay, yeah, incredible.
She's not getting in.
There was only one club you were going to be supporting, and you're as passionate a football person I think I've ever come across. Your knowledge across the game in general is superb. So I think we'll want to tap into a little bit of that insight as well. And right, let's get straight into it. So your goal number one and song choice number one. Give us the breakdown on that.
Right, so the first goal I'm choosing was from the late great Ray Wilkins, scored against Celtic in August 1988.
Dorfman, Butcher have gone up. It's launched in field by Stevens. There's Butcher. Back with Wilkins. Absolutely magnificent from Ray Wilkins.
This was a 5-1 win for Rangers, and it was the very first Old Firm game that I can 100% remember vividly watching. And this was the second goal of 5, and it's basically a throw in from the right hand side that gets flicked on and nodded out by a Celtic defender, and Ray Wilkins comes in from about 25 yards and volleys it right in the top corner. It's an absolute screamer, mate.
It's a beautiful goal, isn't it? And Ray Wilkins is one of the finest gentlemen to have played the game as well.
Exactly, like the gentleman of the game. Wonderful footballer, just strolled around and made it look easy. I mean, he'd had a bit of a tough ride. So basically, obviously, he came through, played for Chelsea, played Man United, and being a cultured man that he was, he ended up at Milan in Italy, had a great time over there, and I think it kind of shaped him as a man and a player. He became a very, kind of erudite, sophisticated man, liked his espressos and his red wine and what have you. And after that, he went to PSG and he had a really, really bad time of it. And his old mate, Graham Souness, threw him a lifeline, and he came to Ibrox for
incredible
18 months or so. And the quote, his famous quote was, "I came too late and I left too early." He absolutely loved it at Rangers, and he actually left to go and be the player manager at QPR. thinking that was going to be the end, but he ended up back in Scotland about 5 years later playing for Hibs when he was like
My
38
God.
or something.
Yeah, because he went on, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. He kept going.
Kept going and going. But so he would have been around the start of the 9 in a row. Is that when he came around?
No, it was just so basically the Rangers won a couple of titles when Souness first came up. Then Celtic won in this season. Celtic won the league, and I think the following year, which would have been '89, was the first of the 9. So I think he might have.
So he'd got that one. He'd have won the league title on that.
In the following year, I think he maybe won that one. Either that or he left halfway through that season, but he was probably involved right at the beginning, yeah. And he's the only player that I can actually remember that when he left, I actually cried. I was a kid, and I remember watching so there used to be a programme called Sports Scene on a Saturday night in Scotland, and it was basically the Scottish version of Match of the Day. And I remember lying on the rug in front of my grandparents' TV, and he was getting interviewed after his last game about how he was obviously heading down south to become a player manager. And I sat and cried on the mat and tried to hide that I was crying so they wouldn't see. And I think
they were probably doing the same.
Yeah, well that was it. And it's the only
I know he
player
was a hero up there, wasn't he? He got like standing ovation.
Yeah, they loved him, mate. They basically carried him off the pitch after that last game. So he produced like a kind of 60-yard pinpoint pass to actually score the winner. It was the last game was against Dunfermline, and he laid on the winner with a long ball, and he actually only scored 2 goals in his entire Rangers career, and one of them was this screamer against Celtic.
It was a rocket, wasn't it? And there was a bit of a theme around that generation as well of midfielders who could hit one on the edge of the box, because there was a lot of target men and balls going deep into the box and midfielders coming on, but
coming late.
That technique is just absolutely as good as it gets.
And the brilliant bit of commentary as well. It's like absolutely magnificent from Ray Wilkins, and it actually carries on beyond the clip that we've got. But the commentator called it the goal made in England, because it was Gary Stevens that threw it in. Terry Butcher nodded it on. The ball get flicked out, and Wilkins fired it right in the top bag. So
incredible. And your song, I loved the song. So as soon as I've seen it, it's one of those that you forget and instant memories come back. And talk us through your song to go with this. Goal.
Yeah, this is Buffalo Stance by Nena Cherry. It's an absolute classic tune. Loved it my entire life. One of those, like, obviously I've been listening to it quite a lot recently because we were doing this, and it completely stands the test of time as well. It's a quality tune. It's got a bit of soul, bit of rap, bit of dance. It's and she, even then, I still think now she's the coolest chick on the planet.
Yeah, she was just it was ease, like we talk about footballers, that ease quality and persona and everything, and that's exactly how she came across as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, she had it. It's an absolute.
That is a top tune to start us off, which is brilliant.
Yeah, love it.
And let's go for number 2 now. You have literally gone by this nickname throughout your whole time at Noosa as Coisty.
Well, you gave me it.
Your similarities in terms of where you seem to score a lot of your goals replicate, and the movement that you have in around the final third replicate Ali McCoist. So it's only fitting that obviously there's an Ali McCoist goal in there. But talk us through this goal against a Leeds United that had just won the Division 1 at this stage.
Well, that's exactly it. So basically, first of all, if I could pick 8 Ali McCoist goals, I would, right? But just for a bit of variety, I've only chose the one, right? But Ali McCoist's career spanned my entire childhood. So he was my hero as a kid. He's still my hero to this day. I've never loved an individual footballer as much as I love him. He's the reason why I'm a penalty box striker. He's the reason why I want to wear number 9. The guy's my hero and always will be. So it's
amazing character as well.
Yeah, and that's it. He had the gift of the gab. Everybody loved him. Even Celtic fans liked him. It was, he's just one of those type of guys.
And talk us through the goal, because, like I said, Leeds at this stage were they were the top team in England, and
yeah, so
unbelievable side.
Basically what actually happened was, obviously, so Rangers had won the Scottish League, Leeds won the old Division 1, so the very last season before the first season of the Premier League started. So Rangers, so basically this was also the first season of the Champions League. The old European Cup was finished, and this was to qualify for the first ever group section of the Champions League. So Rangers actually beat a Danish team called Lyngby, home and away, fairly easily. But Leeds played the German champions. There was no seeding at the time, so Leeds basically got drawn out of the hat with Stuttgart. Lost over 2 legs, and were supposed to be out the tournament. Now, it turned out Stuttgart had played a 4th foreigner. Remember, at the time it was only a 3 foreigner rules?
Yeah, foreigners rule,
Yeah, so they'd played a 4th foreigner, and then so instead of actually giving Leeds the tie, which they probably should have done, they had a one-off playoff at the Nou Camp in Barcelona. Leeds won the game and went through to play Rangers in a final kind of shootout to make it into the group section of the Champions League.
Yeah.
Now, the game got branded or billed as the Battle of Britain, obviously, big battle.
Yeah, at Ellen Road as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, home and away, and no away fans at either ground. So,
wow.
So it was like 100% home fans, and I remember at the time all the talk was that Leeds just thought they had to turn up. It's like, Scottish champions, nothing easy. We've just won the league, and what a team they had. Obviously, like they'd
Cantona and all them.
Well, I mean, they'd Lukic in goal, Dorigo and Weatherall and these guys at the back, but their midfield was McAllister and Batty in the middle, Speed on the left, Strachan on the right, and then they had Cantona and the big man up front, what's his face, Lee Chapman.
Yeah,
so they had a cracking side.
Yeah, the excellent side, yeah.
And so the first leg was at Ibrox. Leeds kick off, go forward, and instantly get a corner after about 20 seconds. The corner comes in, it gets punched out, and McAllister sticks one in the top corner straight off the goalie's punch, volleys it right in the top corner after 30 seconds of the game, and the place is obviously silent, no fans. He could hear a pin drop. And obviously the ironic thing about it is McAllister's a massive Rangers fan. He's now Gerrard's assistant manager at Rangers, and he'd literally just scored an away goal in the first minute of the game, and we think we're beat right away. But we end up going on. Rangers win the first leg 2-1, but obviously Leeds have got an away goal, so Rangers are going down to Leeds thinking this is going to be hard, and we do the exact same thing to them. Haitley scores in the first minute. We've got our away goal, and we're 3-1 up in the tie. Now, obviously, Leeds only need to score and get back in the game, but then the goal that I've chosen actually happens.
Brown's challenge was a strong one and a good one, and Durant now leading the charge. Here's Haitley. Hoist on the far side. It's a super goal, and Rangers now have thoroughly killed off this European Cup tie. The joy on the face of Ali McCoist, a super strike down the left, an inch-perfect cross, and that Predator-in-Chief Ali McCoist registers goal number 29 of the season.
Now, obviously, it's a huge goal because it basically kills the tie and takes Rangers into the first ever group stage. But the reason I've chosen it is because it absolutely sums Ali McCoist up to a T. It's a diving header at the back post off a great counter-attack, but it's the finish. It's just, it's beautiful. It's a deep cross to the back post. He's about 6.
Hell of a cross, by the way.
Yeah, it's a wicked cross from Haitley.
Yeah, incredible cross.
And he's 6 yards wide of the goal, but he lets it hit off the side of his head to go back across goal. So Lukic is actually diving towards his near post, and McCoist heads it back across goal into the basically an empty net, and it's McCoist summed up in one goal. It's absolute predatory instinct. It's the ultimate goal scorer's finish. It's
a great counter attack, isn't it?
Yeah,
because you can see
honestly
Leeds
straight up
are
the park.
flooding people forward, but it's the speed, the delivery, the movement from McCoist to get to the back post, and then, like you said, just that presence of mind, just to correct, position his body, hold his frame while he's in midair, and then just cushion the ball.
Yeah, and it's not even as if he throws his head at it. He just lets it hit his head because he knows exactly where it's going to go, and it's.
And when people have a look at the goal, they'll clearly understand. I think you described it really well. They'll see the quality behind it, but like I said, for what it means for yourself and getting into that first Champions League group stage, it's a huge, huge moment in the club's history as well. And you would have been, 10 this day?
Yeah, I was 10, 11, and the funny thing is, right, obviously in the commentary, again after the clips, you might not get to hear it, as the commentator says that's his 29th goal of the season. Right, the goal was scored on the 4th of November. The 4th of November, and he'd already scored 29 goals. Like
incredible,
like ridiculous.
Yeah, and it's a shame that this generation don't see Rangers as a generation that we remember seeing them as genuinely the best teams in Europe. And
well, that's the thing, Kev. In this run, obviously Rangers get to the Champions League section. They go through the entire group stage undefeated, and the way, because it was the first year, there was only 2 groups, and the winner of both groups went into the final.
Wow.
Right, so that's how it worked. So Rangers never lost a game. They went undefeated through the whole thing, and only lost out by, I think, a point to Marseille, who had ended up meeting Milan in the final and won the final. Now, it wasn't until a couple of weeks later it turned out that Marseille had been bribing referees and basically cheated their way to the trophy. They got the title taken off them. They got the French title taken off them, and it turns out one of the games that they'd been bribing refs was from the group section against CSKA Moscow, where they beat them 6-0. So
incredible,
Rangers probably should have been in the final. Whether we would have beat that great Milan side of Van Basten and all that, I don't know.
But still, you'd have been in there, and earned the right to have been in there as well. And
exactly.
And the song again, top tune. This song, talk us through this song that goes with that Ali McCoist's goal.
Right. Well, I'd picked different songs just because they're favourite songs of mine, but they weren't favourites at the time. I nearly had Nothing But a G Thing by Dr. Dre, but I was thinking I was 10. I wasn't listening to hip hop when I was 10, right? So I've chose a song that I loved at the time, and it's "Rhythm Is a Dancer" by Snap. And again, I've been listening to it recently, and it stands the test of time as a tune.
And that's the sign of every good song, isn't it? Yeah. When you can put it on. Even my own children were putting on a song the other day that from the 80s, and I was like, "What a song this is!" Yeah. And they were loving it. So it's like Only Fools and Horses. It always stands the test of time.
Yeah, that's it, timeless, mate. But love that song. Loved it then. Love it now. Brilliant.
Yeah, brilliant choices there, Gav. And they're absolutely impossible. Are we going to get through any of this without the next man being in the top 8? Because for a long time he dominated the game, not just on the field but off the field. And unfortunately, a lot of people think of his antics off the field and sway sometimes the genius in what he brought on the field. But and I think you guys probably seen the best of him.
100%,
I think when he was up in Rangers,
I think so
was
too.
Probably the best patch of his career. And talk us through him.
Well, it's the madman, isn't it? It's Paul Gascoigne. But
what a player.
He's obviously just the darling English football through the late 80s, all the 90s. Genius, maniac, funniest human being ever to walk the planet. Nutter. I mean, the stories are legendary. Everybody's got one. And just an absolute magician.
Yeah, one of the best books I've read as well as Gaz's book.
Yeah, Gaz's book's very good.
Unbelievable, really emotional, and I was really surprised. And but I'd recommend anyone to read it because it gives you a little bit more insight into sometimes his the way he is, unfortunately. But talk us through the goal. So it was against Aberdeen.
Yeah, so this was 96. this was the day where Rangers had the chance to clinch 8 in a row. At Ibrox against Aberdeen, and Aberdeen score early, and obviously the nerves are on. Everyone thinks, Christ, we're going to need to wait till next week before we win it. But cometh the hour, cometh Gascoigne. His first goal actually is a peach, but the goal I'm choosing is his second goal of a hat trick to win the league, where basically he picks it up in his own half, and he just puts the afterburners on. Now, people had Gascoigne down as this fat guy who couldn't run. Nothing was further from the truth. Gascoigne was lightning quick, by the way. He had the little twinkle
His
toes
upper
going.
body was so strong.
And and that's the thing. It was all power and strength. Basically, he's got two defenders almost running from the halfway line all the way to the edge of the box with him, and he's just got the elbows out both sides, just holding both of them on as he's running at top speed, and then he just curls it in the top corner with his left foot. It's a
finish is
beauty.
incredible.
Ridiculous.
It's been very evenly balanced. Here's Gascoigne now, pushing forward, showing great determination. Oh, he's done it again! It's unbelievable!
Yeah, everybody's going to love watching that goal, and if you get an opportunity to watch the hat trick, the others' goals aren't bad as it happens either. And
and the story was apparently Alan McLaren, Rangers centre half, says to him, "Look, this was at one each. Like, look, Gaza, come on, we need something." And he's like, "Alan, I'm sorry, mate, I'm knackered." And just as he said that, the ball rolled to his feet, and he just took it and turned, and away he went.
Brilliant, yeah, and you can believe it.
Yeah,
you can believe it. Yeah,
and
but that, that's what we talk about it, and there'll probably be future segments on them players that have the ability to really lift and deliver when it matters the most, and clearly this was one of the occasions where he did do that. And but yeah, footwork, everything. He had everything, didn't he?
Yeah.
Everything.
A genius, absolute genius, and the obviously sticks away the penalty for the third goal, and the treble, the title's his. He's got 3 goals. Title's got his name written all over it, and if anybody gets a chance to watch any of the footage of after the game and the celebrations and all that stuff, he's off the chain. He's absolutely bonkers. And another quick little story. Back when Gascoigne was at Rangers, and you'd get the odd story in the paper about him misbehaving and doing this and doing that. My gran used to write him a letter every single week, telling him to behave himself.
That is amazing.
Telling him to behave himself.
How good is that?
Yeah, I don't know whether he ever read one of them or whether it just went thrown in the bin with the rest of the fan mail, but my gran used to write him every week.
That is just incredible, isn't it? I don't think there's anything better than that. Then here he is, an absolute legend, and but misbehaving. So a letter from Gavin Currie's nan, that'll sort him out. Oh, that is just gold dust. And the song, huge song for this era. This was, I think, every high school boy from 14 up to obviously when they finished school, this was their song. This was
this was my album at the time as well. I remember my parents went to New York and brought me back 2 albums. They brought back "Be Here Now" by Oasis had just come out, and this came out the same week, and it was from the Fat of the Land album by The Prodigy. It's "Breathe."
Yeah,
it's a banger.
Incredible, yeah. It's just intense, so intense, and the energy behind it. It's
got a freaky video as well, and it's I played that album to death. I could put it on just now, and again, timeless, mate. I loved it.
Because I thought Oasis might have popped up in your song choices.
Yeah, I thought about it, but it's.
I think we'll see. Yeah, I think somebody else will pop up with a few Oasis songs, because there's a couple of songs in that generation or that era as well that just defined music in the late 90s. But yeah, great choice here, Gav, and I think it works well with Gaza. I think it fits in really well to his personality as well, and so yeah, top choice, and I like the link together with him.
Right, the next goal is the Sickner.
The Signa. Now,
Right.
this Signa is going to turn up on a few other people's
Yeah.
one of their greatest things that they've witnessed and one of their most memorable
Right.
times. But
I
talk us through it. Where
right,
were you?
Hold
Give
on,
us a
like
bit of a build-up.
I do want to caveat the fact that like I love this goal. I could watch it all day. Right, it's an absolute beauty. But it was only 6 weeks, 2 months after the previous goal. But this is also Paul Gascoigne for England against Scotland at Euro '96.
Here's Gascoigne. Brilliant play! Oh! Take a bow for that. That's unbelievable.
I mean,
The whole game's a bit of a Signa because Gary Mack missed the penalty.
Right, well, I'll talk you through the full story, right? So, obviously, the goal itself is a peach. It comes down the left-hand side, ball gets played into Gascoigne, and without even looking, just lobs it over Colin Hendry's head, and boom, right foot volley, past Andy Gorham, his clubmate. So, obviously, played for Rangers at the time. All, like, half a dozen of the guys in the Scotland squad were all Rangers players. It's absolute genius. I think it got voted the greatest ever Wembley goal. It's absolute majestic, right? But I'll tell you this the reason why it's the big sickener for me, right? While the game was on, I was in the airport ready to fly out on holiday, right? So we watched the entire first half just in the regular part of the airport, waiting to go through security into the kind of departure lounges, right? So by the time we were actually in security, I'd literally just put my bag through, and you've been walked through the X-ray, and the place was chockers full of people, and I was the only one who had a radio in my pocket with a set of earphones in, and I'm listening to the game. So everybody's there thinking, hurry up and check our bags through so we can get through to the departure lounge and watch the rest of the game. So it would have been 1-0 to England at this point.
Yeah,
and
Shearer got ahead,
Shearer, I think Shearer scored the goal, and I'd literally just went through the X-ray, listening to the game on the radio, and I said, "We've got a penalty," and literally the place stopped. Like everybody stopped, and we're looking at a 14-year-old kid, like, right, what's happening, right? So like you could hear a pin drop, but for some weird reason, I got a bit of bad reception through the radio as he's taking the penalty.
Odd.
Right? Yeah. And I didn't know whether he'd scored it or not. But 9 times out of 10, a penalty goes in and I went, and he scored! And everybody went berserk, right? Everybody jumped up and went nuts. So I've just grabbed my bag, everybody's filed through, and by the time we've got through, it's still, like, it's basically 1-0 to England, and literally, like, a minute later, Gascoigne scores to make it 2-0. No, so I've had a double sickener because guys, grown men, are coming up to me like, I thought we scored, wee man. What happened? Like, I thought we scored. So
I was talking about another game.
Yeah, there was literally grown men abusing me in the airport, and then Gaza sticks the second goal in and knocks us in.
Yeah, deserved. Well, that deserved. The story's even better than just the sickener. But I like the way that the optimism in you, and just assuming that Gary. Well, I would have. You'd put anything on Gary McAllister.
Of course, 100%. Like, if anybody's going to score, it's going to be him.
I think he was in like something like 80% of the team of the tournaments.
Yeah, he was brilliant. What a footballer!
Yeah, incredible. Yeah, but that Gaza goal is just skill and personifies what Gaza brought to the tournament. It was a top tournament. The 96,
yeah, it was that. Like, I've got really, really fond memories of that whole tournament. I think that was almost like peak football. It was peak, like mid-90s. Everything. It was ideal time for a teenager.
Hollands that were amazing with the Kluiverts and Overmarses and everybody. And
yeah,
England
just
top
the
team.
fact that it was in Britain and the sun shone every single day the whole tournament. It was a great tournament. It was brilliant. It was like a really, really enjoyable time. Like,
yeah, Wales won, innit? Anyway, the song again, one of my favourite songs. This one, talk us through your song choice.
Well, like I said before, I almost picked a Dr. Dre song previous. I'm a massive Tupac fan as well, and so it's actually saved me picking both of them and waste a song on something else. I've picked California Love by Dr. Dre and Tupac.
Dr. Dre, yeah, it is a top song, this one, and everybody's going to love listening to the soundbite on this song as well. And which Tupac song would you have gone with out of curiosity?
Oh, now you're talking. I Ain't Mad At You, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
You Can't See Me. I don't mate, there's too many. I don't know if I could.
Incredible and crazy to think. 25 when he died.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, this song was supposed to be on Dr. Dre's set. This was originally a Dr. Dre song. It was supposed to be on his second album that never actually happened. So he was a co-founder, co-owner of Death Row Records. They kind of sprung Tupac from prison. I think they paid his bail and got him out on the proviso that he would join the label. And basically, as a welcome to the label, Dre gave him the song and says, "Look, you can change the second verse and make it your own, and you can put it on your own album." Yeah. So this was, like I say, a present. Amazing tune. Like, it's one of those ones you put it on, you would know it, you know every single word. Like.
Yeah, everybody's going to love listening to this one. Top choice. The whole history and the documentaries about that time now are unbelievable.
Yeah, I've watched them all, mate.
Yeah, Suge Knight is just my God. He was a
different breed, that
kind of brutal man. But
gangster,
moving on to the next one, we have got one of the best footballers of all time. This was in Glasgow.
Yeah, this was in Glasgow. So basically, this is my non-Rangers goal, and it's Zinedine Zidane in the Champions League final against Leverkusen in 2002.
Roberto Carlos. Solari. That's a good ball for Roberto Carlos. Hooked into the penalty area towards Zidane. Real Madrid come alive with a breathtaking goal.
Yeah, this
Tell
was
us why this choice. What brought this choice into it?
It's the most insane piece of technique you'll ever see. It'd be different if it was coming at a regular height, but it came down with snow on it, and he still managed to wrap his foot round it and curl it actually into the top corner. It's incredible. It's an exquisite piece of technique. You'll never see anybody like a cleaner volley when the ball's dropping out the air than that. It's unbelievable. And I remember I watched it in the pub, and everybody's jaw dropped. I can remember everybody looking around like, Jesus, like, you know, that way, like, nobody could believe it.
It was great watching it, and the link that you've got to go with it as well, because it shows from all the angles.
Yeah, and there's one angle in particular where it doesn't even, the height of the shot doesn't change. It flies straight into the top corner, but it's almost going a foot wide and bends into the top corner. It's just
special. And I think that's to put them 2-1 up. And
yeah, it was the winner. Like, I think it was anyway. And I loved Zidane, outstanding footballer. I almost think he was the bridge between the kind of Maradona, maybe Baggio era, and then your kind of Messi, Ronaldo era. Now, he was the guy that kind of bridged over. He was, for at least 3 or 4 years, I think he was the best player in the world, and I loved him. I just thought he was a Rolls Royce.
Well, he'll always be remembered. Like, obviously, people talk about the headbutt, but what he done against Brazil in the World Cup.
Oh, in the semi-final?
It's one of the greatest. I think it's one of the greatest performances from any player in the history of football.
Yeah.
It was breathtaking.
Yeah, and he was that was his second to last game ever, wasn't it? He retired after the final, and you think this guy could go on for another 5 years. He just didn't want the show.
Was in the final. He dinked the penalty.
Yeah, he dinked it, and it hit the underside of the bar. He nearly missed it.
Yeah, But
Yeah, but
yeah,
the
you're
final-
gonna love
the
watching
final,
this one, and a
98,
little bit of
isn't
a change here, a bit of a mix-up in the music. I think we go over to a bit of rock from here, and
Well, this is from this kind of point onwards. I was a total indie boy. I was at gigs 2 and 3 times a week, and yeah, this is my favourite band of all time. It's the Libertines.
What a waste, what a fucking waste. You missed it all up the wall. Round the corner where they chased it, there's tears coming up from every wall. The city's hard, the city's fair. Get back inside. You've got nothing on now. Mind you bleeding, two bar cup.
I could have chose 10 different songs. I've chose this one. It's just a bit of a kind of raucous rock tune, and it's a couple of naughty words, maybe. Just
I did notice that when I went through it, there was a couple of naughty words in there.
yeah, so just cover your ears, young'uns. But brilliant tune. Love everything I've ever done. I got to see them not long after the first album was out, but the lead singer, Pete Doherty, who you probably know was another wild man, and they'd actually kicked him out of the band by that time. So I saw them at a festival, and it wasn't the same because they'd replaced them for this festival, and I went 15 years without properly seeing them, and they reformed a few years ago, and they played in Brisbane, and I went down myself, and it was unbelievable. Yeah, just jumping around myself, like sober. I had to drive back.
And he's calmed down. Has he calmed down a bit, Pete?
Yeah, he's calmed down. He's off the smack. He's all right.
Yeah, but it was. You love listening to that one as well, and like I said, I really like the link between bands, and there was a little bit of a rock theme going on around that era as well, and this is going to be an interesting one. The next choice is one that I love. I can't wait to hear the backstory on this one.
Right. So basically, obviously the premise to this podcast was 5 goals for the team you support, 1 from a team you don't, 1 sickener, and then 1 Noosa goal. I've kind of bent the rules a little bit, but I mean, if you make the rules, you're allowed to break them, aren't you? Like,
Of course, yeah,
right?
of course.
So
yeah,
I've
especially
actually
for occasions like this.
So I've picked another goal that wasn't scored by Rangers, but in the end, it basically won the league for Rangers, right? So it was a goal for Rangers, but not really. So it was scored by an Australian. It's Scott McDonald versus Celtic in 2005.
Has to go forward quickly for Motherwell now. That's in for Britain. Varga wins it. Yes, Boran. Now McDonald. McDonald scored for Motherwell! Has he snatched the league from Celtic? Well, where on earth? Incredible! Look at the scenes at football. Where on earth did that come from? We've said that man is capable of scoring fantastic goals, but that just came from nowhere.
So this goal was from the famous Helicopter Sunday, right? That's what it's been came to be known as ever since. Yeah. So on this day, Celtic, it was the last day of the season. Celtic went into the last day 2 points ahead. They were away at Motherwell and Rangers were away at Hibs. So basically Rangers knew going into the game they had to win, and all Celtic had to do was basically match Rangers' score. But they're away against mid-table Motherwell. Everybody thought Celtic are going to win this easy. Celtic will win the league. And every Rangers fan went in with a tiny bit of hope, but they weren't really expecting very much, right? So Celtic score early. Chris Sutton scores. Celtic are 1 up. Rangers are still nothing each. Celtic are 4 points clear and the league's done. It's in the bag. So both games are the same score at half time. Rangers come out in the second half and score to make it 1-0. Now, Novo scores, kind of bundled over the line, bit of an OG, but Rangers are winning, so it's actually back to 2 points, but obviously Celtic are still in the driving seat. They want to win the league. Now it gets to about 70 minutes, and by this point, Rangers know they've done what they need to do. They're winning. They've got the 3 points in the bag, and Hibs needed a low-scoring defeat to qualify for Europe. I think if they lost 2-0 or 3-0, Kilmarnock would have overtook them. So Hibs knew a 1-0 defeat took them into Europe as well. So the game basically stops. It's like it becomes a training game. Rangers are just passing it around. Hibs sit with 10 men behind the ball. Rangers just pass it around. The game's done at 70 minutes, right? So we're basically just waiting on something to happen in the other game. And this is 100% truth, mate. I remember putting my head down and I prayed to God. Right? I remember literally saying to God, please let Motherwell score. If you let them score, I'll never deny that you exist ever again, right? I'll believe for the rest of my life. If you let them score, I believe, right? So it goes on for another, 15, 18 minutes, and it says there's been a goal at Fir Park, and we expect Celtic to be 2-0 up. And it basically, so the screen changes from the Rangers game to the Celtic game, and Motherwell are going forward, and everybody in the pub gasps, and the ball falls to McDonald. It hits him on the chest with his back to goal, and he turns it, hooks it over his shoulder, and volleys it into the top corner. And it's one of the greatest goals you'll ever see. It's just as a back to goal hitting hope strike, and he swivels and bangs it right in the top corner, and the pub goes bananas, mental. This is in the 88th minute of the game. Now Rangers are top on goal difference with 2 minutes to go in the season. So obviously the pub, everybody's going nuts, everybody's jumping around. And it says, there's been another goal from Fir Park. And again, everyone thinks Celtic have scored. And you see McDonald, he's broke free. Celtic are obviously been pushing up, trying to get the winner. And McDonald's broke free on his own. He's basically cleared through. A defender kind of comes to him. McDonald should actually square it across the box for a tap-in for someone else. He shoots, it takes a deflection, and it loops over the goalie. 2-0 in the 90th minute, 2-1. And Rangers are now 2 points clear in the leagues in the bag. It's done.
Unbelievable.
So everybody, no joke, mate, this is easily my favourite day as a Rangers fan. Going in, you think you've got no chance. Even with 2 minutes to go, it's done. And Scott McDonald scores 2 goals in the last 2 minutes, and Rangers are the champions. And it flicked back from Fir Park to Easter Road at Hibs, and Alex McLeish is on the touchline giving it the 2 hands together, it's done. And the Rangers players are jumping on each other's backs, and the game's still going. The final whistle's not even been blown yet, and Barry Ferguson's on Bob Malcolm's back. It's mental.
What was interesting watching that was how hard they celebrated the was it who did McDonald play for?
He was playing for Motherwell.
How hard they celebrated.
Right, well that's the thing,
staff.
Terry Butcher, ex-Rangers, Jim Patterson, who was with him on the line, Rangers fan, and Keith Lasley, big Rangers fan, so you could tell all the Rangers fans are going berserk. And the thing is,
crazy, weren't they?
Right, the thing is though, McDonald kind of wheels away celebrating at first, and then you can see it dawn on him. Oh no, what have I done? Because McDonald, although he's Australian, his parents are from Glasgow and he's a big Celtic fan. He was brought up a Celtic fan. And apparently the story is, I've heard in different podcasts and interviews since, that apparently he was just inconsolable in the dressing room after the game because he basically gave the league to Rangers.
Yeah.
So it's...
Yeah, that'll probably haunt him.
I think it has. And the thing is, in that close season, Rangers tried to sign him. He said no, and he went to Celtic anyway. So Celtic actually signed him straight after that.
Okay.
And he had a really good
patch, didn't he? He had a really good patch there for.
Yeah, he was scoring goals in the Champions League and all sorts for Celtic. He was a really good player for them. I would have loved him to play for Rangers. Yeah. Rangers won the title there. We had the best day ever. One of the final things I can remember is my dad had watched it elsewhere, but he turned up at the pub a bit later on, and obviously it's big hugs with my dad, and I spewed down his back.
Oh, lovely moment. So we've gone from your grandmother writing a letter to Gazza to behave himself to grandson spewing over son's back.
Yeah. So then we kind of walked home arm in arm, singing Rangers songs all the way back to the house, and obviously get get into trouble
And
by my mother when
that's
we
what I've
arrived.
loved. Honestly, that's what I love about this whole thing is the trip down memory lane, and you can see just your love for your family, your love for the club, and love for the game just oozes out with all them stories and memories. And another good song coming up. Talk us through your song.
Yeah, and this was another album that I absolutely played to death, and I could have picked any song off the album, but I've picked pretty much the one that everybody knows the best. It was their first ever single. It's I Bet You Look Good in the Dance Floor by Arctic Monkeys.
Stop making the eyes at me, I'll stop making the eyes at you. And what it is that surprises me is that I don't really want you to. And your shoulders are frozen. Over you're an explosion. Your name isn't real, but I don't care for sound. Imagine the fuse might result in a bang for the bango. I bet that you look good on the dance floor. I don't know if you're looking for romance or I don't know what you're looking for. I said I bet that you look good on the dance floor. Dancing to an electro pop like a robot from 1984. But from 1984.
Yeah, top song.
Great song, great album, played it to death. I've loved them since they came out. Just I loved all the... just the fact that they were only 19 when this came out. They were probably 18 when they wrote the album. It's just such a mature album as well for such young kids. And lyrically...
And they are kids. You look at the video
Yeah.
and it's incredible, isn't it?
Like, lyrically, I thought it was amazing. There was just so much stuff I could relate to, like hiding from the cops, hiding from the riot van, all that stuff, you know. I just... Everything about it I just loved, and I played it to death. And yeah, I thought this was a great tune.
The riot van, I can relate to. Yeah, that'll be a story for another time.
Yeah,
I think,
yeah,
that
it is.
Yeah, another good connect, another good link up with them too. Moving on to this, I love the song on this one as well, and but we'll go through the goal first. So talk us through your next choice of goal.
Right, this goes by Morris Edu in 2010 against Celtic. So I basically left Scotland on the 3rd of March, which I think was the Tuesday. And obviously I went travelling through Asia and then on to Oz, and you know, I've never lived there again. Basically I've been here ever since. I've been back for a couple of trips, but the very, very last game before I left to come was an Old Firm game, Rangers v Celtic. It was 0-0 with 2 minutes to go, and Edu bundles one over the line.
Stoppage time. Kevin Thompson's corner. It's Bagheera. Warren stops it. Boyd. Edu has put it in. Morris Edu. Right at the end. And Rangers take a giant leap towards back-to-back titles.
You know, the term these days is limbs. If you look at the video here, it's absolute limbs, and it's limbs from the players as well. They're all piled high. The commentator even says, I think this is a goal that's won a championship. It made us, I think it put us 7 or 8 points clear with a handful of games to go, and it was a nail in the coffin for Celtic's title challenge. And it was not the prettiest of finish. It's probably a G Currie finish from about a yard, but
Oh, you'd have loved it.
Yeah.
You'd have been all over it.
it's an absolute scramble. And
I like the touch. I like the touch from the defender who took it past the because it came from a corner, didn't it? And he just took it past.
He kind of took it on his chest and
Amazing.
by the defender, had a shot, and then it's had about 3 or 4
save
right
originally, and then the scramble, and Edu just pops up, and so this was the last goal before you left.
The last goal before I left, and because this was on the Sunday and I left on the Tuesday, and because it was the last day or the last game, my mum basically says, bring all your mates round to the house and we'll put it on in the living room. So obviously when that happened, place goes berserk. There's tables getting kicked over, chairs, and then it spilled out into the backyard. And my next door neighbour's a massive Celtic fan, and it nearly kicked off, and there was a lot of singing getting done in the back. The wall was getting banged and all that stuff to tell us to quiet down, and I wasn't caring. I was off in 3 days anyway. I couldn't have cared less. So I was.
Does that lead into
encouraging
your
it.
hiding from the riot van?
Yeah, exactly.
Love this song. Talk me through the song.
Right, the reason I've chosen this, I mean, it's not the coolest song in the world, but it's the theme song from the 2010 World Cup by Shakira. I think it's called Waka Waka. This is Africa.
This is Africa, yeah.
The pressure's on, you feel it, but you got it all, believe it. When you fold it up, oh, and if you fold it up, this is Africa. Samina, mina, waka, waka, Samina, mina, sakarewa. This time for Africa.
Like I say, we travelled through Asia for 6 months, and the entire time we were there, the World Cup was on, and we watched the majority of the game on beaches in Thailand and Vietnam and things like that. Like, it's easily the best World Cup I've watched in terms of where I watched them. There was big screens on every beach we went to, and you could basically people from all over the world were just packed up on a beach watching World Cup football, and you could tell like the little pockets of Brazilians, little pockets of Dutch, like when the
Amazing how it brings literally. I know it's a World Cup. It just unites everything, doesn't it? It's amazing.
Honestly, mate, it was the best buzz. It was amazing, and obviously when Brazil were playing, all the Brazilians are doing the samba on the beach, and it was amazing, mate. I had such an amazing time. But everywhere you went, this song was on. It reminds me of the time when I was travelling. It reminds me of the World Cup, and it reminds me of just having a wicked time. I had a brilliant time, and all those games on the beach and that, it was an amazing time. And it
sounds like it was an amazing time in your life, and
it was, and it's a really catchy tune as well. I think it, and we actually used the intro of this song as the intro for the old podcast, and then that was the reason why I chose it, because it was a football song, and it was a song that reminded me of good times. So.
Yeah, and she's married to PK,
and she met him when they shot the video.
Yeah, not a bad couple.
He's done all right.
The best couple in the world. But amazing choice again, Gav, and and it's just amazing. I just love sharing the stories and listening to the stories of, how important it was. I can just picture you in the front room with all your mates celebrating that goal in Edu, and then obviously over on the next part of your life, and haven't been back since properly. Haven't lived back there since.
No, I've been back twice.
Was that always the plan? Were you always planning on leaving for good, or?
No, well, I met my wife over there. I met her in my local pub. She's an Aussie, so I literally met her there. And for us to actually stay together, we had to come up with a plan. Like, obviously, her visa was running out in the UK, and so we decided to go travelling, and then I would come here for a year and then take it from there. So after my working holiday visa, we applied for residencies and all that stuff through her as a de facto, and never looked back, mate.
Yeah, it's some place, isn't it? Lovely place to raise kids as well.
Absolutely.
And, now then, this obviously starts to introduce us, because when did you rock up with us? 2011?
2011, mate. So yeah, I think basically the reason why I joined the club was when I first came over, we were living at Kayla's parents' place for the first 6 months, and I knew no one. And after 6 months, I was kind of hinting to her, like, look, see if things don't pick up for me here. I'm thinking about going home. Like, I never knew anybody, mate. And I think the key, I worked out that the key to settling anywhere is to make friends. And I was working in a call centre as well with tons of old women, so there was no chance I was going to make any friends there. We were living in a little cul-de-sac. I had no chance of making any friends there. So I started playing futsal and thinking I could make some friends doing that. But it was rock up, play your game, and then head home. There was no social side to it.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing, actually, the Shaz Oyston called my work. I was working for Unity Water, and she called on behalf of the club to get something to do with the water bill or something. And I says, Noose Alliance, it's like, I'd be interested in coming to play. Like, and she gave me
Richard was the coach.
She gave me Richard's number, so I called him and left a message, and he called me back one night. I was out for a family dinner or something. He called me back, and told me to come down. Then about a week or two later, you called me up out the blue, and you basically introduced yourself, gave me a bit of background on yourself and your football career and that, and he says, yeah, come down. I says, well, I'll be the guy in the Rangers strip. And as soon as I rocked up, you spotted me right away, and you came straight over, like, you're Gav.
Yeah.
And,
because I remember Richard. A fair play to him when he went on to Fire. He gave literally a full rundown on the players he'd been in contact with who were interested, like yourself, who were new to the area, wanting to come down, and I remember he had it on there: Gav Currie, Rangers, striker, sounds good. Yeah, and and that was it. He goes, yeah, he sounds good, and I was like, okay, yeah, fair enough. And
I don't know where he got that idea from, because I'd literally hadn't played for 11 years, like 10 years. I stopped playing when I was 17, and I think I'd just turned 28 in the August before that January or February when the pre-season started up. So I hadn't played for a long time, and that first session, I think you had us doing a bleep test. You even had there was beer barrels with like chains on them. I'm thinking, we're going to have to drag these beer barrels and that around. I'm like,
the field wasn't usable, was it?
That's right, yeah. So we were doing bleep tests, and I was obviously breathing out my backside, thinking, God, is this what it's going to be like?
You probably tried to run next to Davy Ferris. That's everyone.
Yeah, no, it was Rabs. I was running next to Rabbits.
Yeah,
like, what's going on? And then I remember the first time we were on the pitch, and we had a bit of a kind of crossing and shooting drill, and one came in and I kind of scissor kicked one in, and you went, he'll score goals. And I was like,
fine.
Yeah, he'll score goals.
He'll
like,
fit
right,
them
okay,
on it. And it's something that I think that we're a little bit unique as a club, that we almost build all our teams off goal scorers.
Yeah.
There's not many clubs who do that anymore, and we've had Tomo do it for a long time in Prems, and Ben's done it a long time, Rezzies, yourself, and even in the juniors, where we're always making sure that we got young Sam Taylor coming through, Nathan Weckett coming through, so there's always built on them goal scorers, and so yeah, it fitted in really well with us. But talk us through this goal. I remember seeing this goal.
Right. Well, it was a funny season, because we were playing 4-3-3 that year, and there was 4 strikers, so it was every other week. Obviously, every week it was 3 from 4, and I think if everyone was fit, I was the 4th man, because it was Dan kind of sat a little bit deeper as a 10, and it was Freddie and Ben were absolutely lightning fast, and they were basically getting in behind. So there wasn't really much room for a penalty box type player, but I came off the bench every week, and I was scoring most weeks when I came off the bench, and a lot of the times it was it's 1 each with 10 minutes to go, or 1 each with 20 minutes to go, get Gav on and we'll get a goal. And the amount of equalisers and winners I scored that year coming off the bench. I mean, I started a load of games as well, because it wasn't as if there was just the 4 of us that were there every week. I started a lot of games as well, but a lot of my best stuff came from the bench. And you labelled me an impact player, and I absolutely hated it. But
all strikers do. Strikers do hate it, unless they're getting old and still want to play Prems, and then they're kind of happy to be an impact player, but or they're just understanding really.
So this was away at Coolum, obviously in a Rezzies game, and it was 1 each with about 15 minutes to go, and Phil just basically put the arm around me as he always did. Get in the box, get on the end of stuff, get us a goal. Right, okay. So the ball came down the left-hand side, and it was Tuck's. Dale Tucker got to the byline, but it was one of those ones where you whip it left-footed, and you instantly do like a backwards roll. Your momentum kind of takes you off the pitch, and you don't see what happens. Well, he's hung one up to the back post, and I was maybe, 8 to 10 yards wide of the back post, maybe 5-6 yards off the touchline, and a Van Basten volleyed one right back across goal, right into the far top corner.
Yeah, it is a special goal, isn't it? And ironically, you've got a volley in there, and it's Zidane's volley, and
I love a volley, mate. Nothing's better than a volley. Right.
You got Wilkins is a volley,
so I love a volley.
See that goal would have meant so much for yourself.
See, and the thing about it that it made it feel better to me was Cookie said to me after the game, he's like, "You never meant that." He's like, if you connected with that the way you meant, it would have been in the car park. But by that, what he meant was I tried to lace it and hit it as hard as I could, but it was a side foot volley back across goal. It's almost like just had to let it hit me and just use the power of the ball to actually take it in, and that's what I done. And it's one of those ones that only had a small amount of gap to go through to make it obviously through a crowd of players and actually into the far corner. I 100% meant it. It was exactly the way I planned it. And I'm walking away, running away.
In Cookie's defence, he probably wasn't aware of how many goals you'd go on to score for the club. And
yeah, I suppose.
But it's not knowing you that well and everything, but it was a special goal because it was my last year at the club, obviously before coming back.
Yeah.
And I look back and always something I've always remembered is the strikers we've had, and you're up there with anyone in the time that I've been at the club for general ability to score goals, especially when it matters to score goals. But not many like that.
No, not many like that. They're few and far between, mate. Normally they're from inside the 6-yard box, if not closer.
Yeah, but that's it's a dying breed. We talk about it so much, and the importance. We coach so many junior strikers to just keep following in, and we talk defenders as well. You got to follow in and just keep moving. You never know what's going to drop your way, and it just adds goals to your game.
See, I think there's many aspects of being a penalty box player you can train, but a lot of it you've either got it or you've not. And I think you need to, like I say, obviously I watched McCoist from a young age and modelled every part of my game on his, and yeah, I think it's an instinct, mate. I 100% believe that.
Yeah, and your final song to go with it. And it was against Coolham as well, which is always...
Yeah, and by the way, I always score against Coolham. I've got a really good record against them.
Yeah, but and it's your final song is a top song. Now, when this goes off in the dressing room, it's business time.
Yeah, it's a great tune, and you get to a certain age where you just stop liking new music, and you always listen to the stuff you listened to maybe in your 20s or whatever. This was actually a song that came out new, and instantly I heard it, I went, I'll always like that song. Like, that is it's going to be a classic. And it's Jay-Z and Kanye West. It's N-Word in Paris.
Let's go. Let's go. First nigga gotta find me. What's 50 grand to a motherfucker like me? Can you please remind me? Ball so hard, this shit crazy. Don't know that no shit fake.
It's a rap tune, it's a dance tune, it's
again
quality.
Intense.
Yeah,
I like the songs that you've got. There is a real intensity and a passion behind it as well. It's not just it's not just music and easy listening, and it is there's a bit involved in all of them.
Yeah, I think that's the style I like. I'm not a fan of middle of the roads melodic stuff. I like it's got to have a bit of bounce, mate.
Yeah, it won't be a buble. Yeah, but it's top song again. And which brings us to the end of the podcast, Gav, where, just want to, on behalf of everyone who's listening, and thank you obviously for taking us a trip down memory lane and giving us a bit of your background and your passion and the emotion behind some of the goals. I've loved listening to the stories of, you brought your family into it and how your love for Rangers, your love for the club, and how you obviously made your way over to Australia as well. Is a lot of positives to look back on over there. So how did you find it going back over them goals and the music choice as well?
Loved it, mate. It's like you said yourself, it's a total nostalgia trip. It takes you back down memory lane, and I actually found it really difficult as well. Although I loved it, the amount of times I took goals out, put other goals in, took songs out, put other songs in, and obviously we just talked before we started recording as well that I nearly made a couple of last minute changes, and I just went, nah, you've Kev's got this list, let's just stick with the list. You like what you've got, stop changing stuff.
I think everybody will be the same.
Yeah.
I think, because I even talking to my son about it as well, and he was like saying, how wasn't this goal, and I'm like, yeah, you're right.
How many Drake songs has he picked? 8?
Yeah. Oh no, he hasn't got onto the music part of it yet. And, but yeah, there will be a few Drake songs in there, I imagine. Mind saying that, he's a huge Elton John fan.
Your brother? Your son is?
Your son is, yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so, yeah.
Love it.
But yeah, brilliant, Gav.
No, it's been absolutely brilliant fun, mate, and it's always a pleasure to talk to your good self. Anytime we can have a decent chat about football, I'm always ready and willing. Right.
Yeah, and next up, who are we looking at next up?
We've got 2 in the pipeline. I think it'll probably be Sandra next. We've been talking over the last couple of days. I've got a list of, I think I've got 6 or 7 goals and maybe 5 songs, so she's still trying to tie a couple of loose ends up to think. But the gap between our first and our second goal is 20 years. So
Yeah.
we'll see how we go.
Yeah, and people out there who are listening to the podcast, like Sandra's been the backbone of our female program for a long, long time. So,
and she was also a really big supporter of the original podcast, and I said that to her. I was like, look, we would have had you on the original one, but it was way too blokey. I think it was it was like a lads club talking blue language, and this is the best way.
It'll be great. She loves Tottenham Hotspur,
she does.
I'll have a good laugh at that, listening to her memories, and she'll no doubt talk about Ginola and Glenn Hoddle. Some exceptional footballers.
No spoilers, mate. No spoilers, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but it'll be brilliant. But thanks, Gav. I've enjoyed sitting in here and reversing the roles a little bit, and
pleasure, mate.
Look forward to the future ones.
Definitely, mate. And obviously, you may be contacted, you may not be. Even all the juniors that are listening, why don't you just come up with your own lists anyway and discuss it amongst your teams, speak to the other guys in your teams. You're obviously all in group chats and stuff. Why don't you pick your 8 goals and your 8 songs, and it doesn't need to be recorded for it to be a fun activity for you and your mates to do when there's no football on. All right,
Brilliant.
mate?
Yeah, top stuff.
Thanks, brother. I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.
Bye, mate.